The alarm sounded across the monitoring station like a dying animal's scream. Ambassador Velshara's 4 eyes snapped open, her blue skin rippling with sudden tension. She had been reviewing trade agreements when the noise began. Now every screen in her office flashed red. "What is happening?" she demanded, her voice carrying the authority of 3 decades on the Galactic Council. A young technician burst through her door, his breathing heavy. "Ambassador, we have detected something. Something big." Velshara followed him to the main observation deck. Dozens of council members from different species crowded around the central display. The hologram showed the edge of known space, where stars became sparse and navigation became deadly. They called it dark space. No ship had entered that region and returned in over 2,000 years. But now, something was coming out. "Enlarge the image," Velshara commanded. The hologram zoomed in. A ship appeared on the display, but calling it a ship felt wrong. It was massive, longer than any station Velshara had ever seen. Its hull was dark, almost black, and covered in patterns that hurt to look at too long. Energy readings pulsed across the secondary screens, showing power levels that should not be possible. "Try to contact them," Velshara said. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. The communications officer, a thin creature with 6 fingers, worked his controls. "We are broadcasting on all frequencies, Ambassador. Standard greetings in 200 languages." He paused, listening. No response. Commander Zarkoth of the Vrax Dominion stepped forward. His species was built for war, with thick armor-like skin and eyes that could see in multiple spectrums. "We should prepare our fleets. That ship could destroy this station with a single weapon." "We do not know if they are hostile," Velshara argued. "We do not know if they are friendly," Zarkoth countered. "Unknown vessels must be treated as threats until proven otherwise." The debate might have continued, but the head archivist, an elderly being named Thren, spoke up. His voice was soft but carried weight. "I know what that ship is." Everyone turned to look at him. 200 years ago, Thren continued, a species called humans sent colony ships into space. They were new to star travel, enthusiastic and quick to learn. Perhaps too quick? He pulled up old records on a smaller screen. Several council members felt threatened by their rapid advancement. The humans asked for help navigating to the outer colonies. Some of us gave them maps. What kind of maps? Velshara asked, though she feared she already knew. Incorrect ones. Maps that led them into dark space. Thren's expression showed deep shame. "We thought they would simply die quickly. Their ships would be destroyed by the spatial storms and the problem would be solved. We heard nothing from them after they entered that region. For 200 years we assumed they were gone." The room fell silent. The humans had not died. They had survived. "We murdered them," someone whispered. "We tried to," Thren corrected, "and now they are returning." Velshara felt her blood turn cold. If the humans knew what had been done to them, they would want revenge. And if they had survived dark space for 2 centuries, they had become something powerful enough to take it. "Send word to all council fleets," she ordered. "Form a blockade at the border of civilized space. 7 species, full military deployment." "That will take days," Zarkoth said. "Then we start now." Velshara turned back to the display. The human ship continued its steady approach, ignoring all attempts at communication. "And someone find out everything we can about these humans. Who they were, what they wanted, and what 200 years in dark space might have done to them." Over the next 3 days, ships gathered. The Vrax Dominion sent their battle cruisers, massive vessels bristling with weapons. The Kryn Collective contributed carriers filled with fighter craft. 5 other species added their own military might until nearly 4,000 warships formed a wall between the human vessel and the rest of the galaxy. Velshara stood aboard the command ship, watching the displays. The human vessel had slowed but not stopped. "It was still coming. Still no response to our hails?" she asked. "None, Ambassador." "What about their ship? Can we scan it?" The sensor officer looked uncomfortable. "We have tried. The hull is made of something our scanners cannot identify. The energy signature suggests technology centuries beyond our own. And Ambassador," he hesitated, "there are life signs aboard. Thousands of them. Human life signs. We think so. But they are different. Enhanced somehow. The readings are strange." Velshara's mind raced. Thousands of humans returning after 2 centuries with technology beyond council understanding. This could mean the end of everything they had built. Then, finally, the human ship responded. Every screen across the blockade fleet lit up simultaneously. A woman's face appeared, human in shape but with eyes that seemed to glow faintly. She looked young, perhaps 30 years old, with dark skin and short black hair, but her expression carried the weight of someone much older. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Colonial Navy ship Perseverance," she said. Her voice was clear and steady. "We are humans. 200 years ago, you sent us to die. You gave us false maps and watched us disappear into dark space, hoping we would perish in the storms." Velshara felt every eye in the command center turn toward her. Captain Chen smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "We did not die. We survived. We adapted. We evolved. And now we are coming home." The transmission continued. "We are claiming the colonies that were promised to us. We are demanding a seat on your council. You will grant us both, or we will take them by force." She leaned forward. "I am transmitting coordinates to 3 locations. At each location you will find cures to diseases that have plagued your people for generations. Consider them gifts. Consider them proof that we are not your enemies unless you choose to make us so." The screen went dark. Velshara stood frozen. Around her, panic erupted as officers shouted orders and tried to process what they had just heard. But she could only stare at the darkened screen, knowing that everything had just changed forever. The humans were home, and the galaxy would never be the same. The coordinates Captain Chen provided proved to be real. Within hours, medical teams from 3 different species confirmed the discoveries. On a frozen moon orbiting a gas giant, they found a data cache containing the complete cure for Vrax-burning fever, a disease that had killed millions. On an asteroid near the Kryn home system, another cache held the solution to genetic degradation that plagued their species. The 3rd location revealed a cure for the sleeping plague that affected the Lith people. Each cure was real. Each cure was perfect. Each cure was something the Council's best scientists had failed to achieve in centuries of trying. "They are showing us what they can do," Thren said quietly, standing beside Velshara in the command center. "They are telling us they are not just warriors. They are scientists, doctors, and builders. They are also threatening us," Zarkoth growled. The Vrax commander studied the tactical displays with growing frustration. "My people are grateful for the cure, but gratitude does not change the fact that an unknown warship is approaching our borders with demands." Velshara could not argue with that. She had called another emergency council session, but opinions were divided. Some species wanted to accept the human demands immediately. Others wanted to fight. Many were simply paralyzed by fear. "Run another scan of their vessel," she ordered. The sensor officer worked his console. "Ambassador, I have something new. The hull composition is becoming clearer as they get closer. The metal contains elements that should not exist in normal space. They must have harvested materials from within dark space itself." "Is that even possible?" Velshara asked. "Apparently, yes, for humans." On the other side of the command center, a junior officer named Liz studied her own screens. She specialized in biological scans and had been focusing on the life signs aboard the human ship. What she was seeing made no sense. "Commander Zarkoth," she called out, "I think you should see this." The Vrax warrior crossed to her station in 3 long strides. "What is it?" "The humans aboard that ship. Their biological readings are abnormal. Their bone density is 3 times what it should be. Their neural activity shows patterns of enhancement, possibly cybernetic integration, and their genetic code has markers I have never seen before." Liz looked up at him. "Sir, these are not the same humans that left 200 years ago. Dark space changed them." Zarkoth's expression darkened. "Changed them how?" "Made them stronger, faster, smarter. It is like dark space forced them to evolve or die." The commander turned to Velshara. "This changes nothing. Enhanced or not, they are still making demands backed by force." Before Velshara could respond, every screen in the command center activated again. Captain Chen's face returned, and this time she was not alone. Behind her stood other humans, all wearing similar dark uniforms. Their eyes all carried that same faint glow. "I see your fleet has assembled," Chen said, looking directly into the camera as if she could see them. 4,000 ships, impressive. You are taking us seriously." "That is good." She moved aside, and the view changed to show the interior of the human ship. It was vast, with corridors that stretched into darkness. Strange lights pulsed along the walls, and the air itself seemed to shimmer slightly. "Let me tell you what happened to us," Chen continued. When we entered dark space following your maps, we expected to find safe passage. Instead, we found hell. Spatial storms tore apart 3 of our 5 colony ships in the first week. 14,000 people died screaming as reality folded around them. Her voice remained steady, but her eyes burned with intensity. The 2 surviving ships found shelter near a quantum anomaly. We could not leave. We could not call for help. We had only 2 choices, adapt or die. So we adapted. Chen gestured to the corridor behind her. We learned to harvest exotic matter from the storms. We integrated AI systems into our bodies to help us process the sensory overload. We modified our genetics to survive the radiation. Generation after generation, we became something new. The camera focused back on her face. We did not want this. We wanted to build farms and raise families on peaceful worlds. You took that from us. You took our innocence, our simplicity, our dreams. In return, dark space gave us power. Velshara felt her throat tighten. The guilt was overwhelming. But we are not monsters, Chen said. We are still human. We still value life. We still believe in cooperation and peace. That is why we are offering you a choice. Accept us as equals, give us what was promised, and we will share everything we learned. Our technology, our knowledge, our cures. We will make the galaxy better. She leaned closer to the camera. Or refuse us and we will take what we need. We will not be victims again. We cannot be victims again. We are too strong now and we are too angry. The transmission ended. The command center erupted in chaos. Officers shouted. Council members argued over open channels. Zarkoth roared for order, but even his powerful voice was lost in the noise. Velshara stood silent, her mind working through possibilities. The humans were offering partnership or war. Both options were terrifying. Partnership meant accepting a species that had become more powerful than anyone else in the galaxy. War meant fighting an enemy that had survived impossible conditions and emerged stronger. What would you choose? Thran asked softly, appearing beside her. I do not know, Velshara admitted. If we accept them, they might dominate the council within decades. If we fight them, we might all die. There is a third option, Thran said, which is, we could be honest. We could admit what we did, apologize, and truly mean it. We could offer them not just what they demand, but what they deserve. Respect. Velshara looked at the old archivist. You think an apology will matter to them? I think it might be the only thing that matters, Thran replied. They have power now. They do not need our permission. But they are still asking for it. That means something. Before Velshara could respond, alarms blared across the fleet. The tactical display showed new contacts appearing at the edge of the blockade. 12 ships belonging to the militant faction of the Council had broken formation and were accelerating toward the human vessel. Who authorized this? Velshara shouted. No one, Zarkoth replied grimly. They are acting independently. On the display, the 12 ships opened fire. Missiles streaked through space toward the Perseverance. Energy weapons blazed. The attack was coordinated and vicious. Velshara watched in horror, waiting for the human response. Waiting for the war to begin. But what happened next was something no one expected. The human ship did not fire back. Instead, space around it seemed to bend. The missiles curved away, redirecting back toward empty space. The energy weapons dispersed harmlessly against invisible barriers. And then, moving faster than anything that size should move, the Perseverance closed the distance to the attacking ships. One by one, the 12 vessels simply stopped. Their engines went dead. Their weapons went offline. They drifted helplessly in space, completely disabled but undamaged. Captain Chen's voice came through on all channels. This is your only warning. The next attack will not be so gentle. Velshara collapsed into her chair, her body shaking. The humans had just demonstrated something far more terrifying than superior weapons. They had shown mercy when they could have shown destruction. They had proven they could disable any ship in the fleet without killing anyone. The message was clear. Humanity was choosing not to destroy them. But that choice could change at any moment. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The council chamber on the homeworld had never been so full. Representatives from every member species crowded into the ancient hall, their voices creating a wall of noise that echoed off the high ceilings. Velshara stood at the central podium, trying to maintain order while the galaxy fell apart around her. We must vote now, demanded Senator Krath of the Zorvian Empire. His scales were flushed dark red with anger. Accept their terms or prepare for total war. We cannot simply surrender to their demands, argued Counselor Vex. If we bow to one species with superior weapons, others will follow their example. The Council's authority will mean nothing. The Council's authority already means nothing if we cannot protect our people, someone else shouted back. Velshara raised her hands for silence, but it took several minutes before the chamber quieted enough for her to speak. We have three factions forming. Those who want immediate war, those who want to accept human terms, and those who seek a middle path through negotiation. Negotiation? Krath laughed bitterly. You saw what they did to our ships. They disabled 12 vessels without even trying. What leverage do we have to negotiate? That was the question haunting everyone. The human demonstration of power had been calculated and precise. They could have destroyed the attacking ships. Instead, they had simply turned them off like children's toys. The message was clear. Humanity did not need to kill to win. Far above the planet, aboard the Perseverance, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair and tried not to show her exhaustion. The bridge around her hummed with activity as her crew monitored the Council's deliberations. They had cracked the Council's communication networks within hours of arriving, another demonstration of human technological advancement. Captain, her first officer said quietly, we are receiving encrypted messages from several Council species. They want private negotiations. Chen smiled slightly. Let me guess. They want to know if we will support them against their rivals in exchange for exclusive trade agreements. Exactly that. Ignore them all. We deal with the Council as a whole or not at all. Chen turned to her tactical officer. How is the ship holding up? The officer hesitated before answering. Hull integrity at 70%. The exotic matter reactor is stable but operating at maximum capacity. If we had to engage in actual combat, we could sustain it for maybe 20 minutes before critical systems start failing. Chen nodded slowly. This was the secret they could not let the galaxy know. The Perseverance was humanity's only warship. Everything else had been destroyed in dark space or cannibalized for parts. The 2 million humans alive today represented less than 15% of those who had entered dark space 2 centuries ago. They were survivors, but they were fragile. The ship's impressive performance came at a cost. The exotic matter that powered their weapons and defenses was incredibly unstable. The enhancements that made humans stronger also shortened their lifespans. The AI integration that increased their mental capacity sometimes caused neural degradation. They were powerful, but they were also dying slowly. Chen had gambled everything on this approach. Project Overwhelming Strength. Offer generous gifts, make them believe humanity was an unstoppable force that chose mercy. If the Council ever learned the truth that humanity was actually desperate and weak, the game would be over. Captain, the communications officer called out, we are being hailed by someone named Thren. He says he is an archivist and needs to speak with you privately. He claims it is urgent. Chen considered this. Private communications were risky, but Thren was the one who had revealed the truth about the sabotage to the Council. He might be an ally. Put him through. My ready room. Chen walked to her private office, a small space filled with screens and memories of Earth. When Thren's face appeared on the display, she was struck by how old he looked. His species aged differently than humans, but the exhaustion in his eyes was universal. Captain Chen, Thren began, thank you for speaking with me. You have 2 minutes, archivist. Make them count. I have been investigating the original sabotage, the false maps that sent your people into dark space. I have discovered that the conspiracy goes deeper than we thought. Thren pulled up documents on his screen. It was not just a few fearful council members. It was an organized plot involving military leaders, corporate interests, and politicians from 7 species. Chen leaned forward. Why are you telling me this? Because those same people are in power today, and they are planning something. Thren's expression grew grave. They know they cannot defeat you in open battle, so they are planning to use forbidden weapons, quantum destroyers that were banned centuries ago because they were too dangerous. How dangerous? They tear holes in space itself. Anything caught in their effect radius is erased from existence. Ships, planets, stars, everything. Thren looked directly at Chen. They plan to ambush you as you approach the old human colonies. They will sacrifice an entire star system to destroy you. Chen felt ice form in her stomach. When? 3 days. Maybe less. They are moving the weapons into position now. Why are you warning me? Your people tried to kill mine once already. Thren was quiet for a moment. Because what we did was wrong. Because you deserve better. And because if they use those weapons, the damage to space itself could spread. Thousands of systems could be destroyed. Billions could die, he paused. Also, I believe you when you say you want peace. I think the galaxy needs you. But not like this. Not with lies on both sides. Chen stared at him, trying to read his intentions. Was this a trap? Or was this old archivist actually trying to help? What do you want in return for this information? She asked. The truth, Thren said simply. Tell me the truth about your situation. Your real situation. Chen laughed, a short, bitter sound. You are clever, archivist. I have been studying your species for 200 years. I know how you think. You appeared from dark space with one ship, only one. You offer gifts and make threats, but you do not actually attack. You disable enemy vessels instead of destroying them. Thren leaned forward. You are not strong. You are smart. You are projecting power you do not actually have. For a long moment, Chen said nothing. Then she made a decision that would change everything. You are right, she admitted. We have one ship. One damaged ship. 2 million people. We are all that remains of humanity. If your council attacks us with everything they have, we will die. She met his eyes. But we will take as many of you with us as possible. We did not survive dark space just to roll over and die quietly. Thren nodded slowly. I thought so. Captain, you must broadcast this truth to the entire galaxy. Tell them what you just told me. That would be suicide. No, that would be honesty. And honesty might be the only thing that saves both of us. Thren's expression was earnest. There are good people in the council. People who feel guilty about what was done to you. People who will fight to protect you if they know the real situation. But you must give them the truth to fight for. Chen wanted to refuse. Every instinct screamed at her to maintain the illusion of strength. But she was tired. Her people were tired. And the thought of facing quantum destroyers with a damaged ship and exhausted crew was terrifying. If I do this, she said slowly, and your people turn on us anyway, humanity will be wiped out forever. I know, Thren said. But if you do not, and they spring their trap, the result will be the same. At least this way you have a chance. Chen closed her eyes, thinking of the millions who had died in dark space, thinking of the generations who had struggled and suffered so that their children might live, thinking of the 2 million souls aboard this ship who trusted her to bring them home. She opened her eyes. I will think about it. Do not think too long, Captain. The ambush is coming soon. The transmission ended. Chen sat alone in her office, staring at the walls, knowing that the next decision she made would determine whether humanity survived or died forever. Outside, the council fleet continued to grow. Inside, humanity's last hope waited for orders. And somewhere in the darkness, quantum destroyers were being positioned for a massacre that would reshape the galaxy. Chen called her senior officers to the conference room. There were only 12 of them, the last trained military personnel humanity possessed. The rest of the crew were civilians who had learned combat during the dark space years, forced to become warriors when they had only wanted to be farmers and teachers. We have a problem, Chen began, and explained what Thren had told her about the quantum destroyers. Commander Hayes, her tactical officer, slammed his fist on the table. It is a trap. The archivist is lying to make us reveal our weakness. Maybe, Chen admitted, or maybe he is telling the truth. Either way, we cannot broadcast our real situation, said Dr. Yuki Sato, the chief medical officer. The moment they know we only have one ship, they will crush us. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, the youngest officer present, spoke up hesitantly. What if that is not true anymore? What if the galaxy has changed? Everyone turned to look at him. I have been monitoring their communications, Webb continued. The whole galaxy is watching us. There are protests on 17 worlds demanding that the Council accept us. 3 species have publicly called for reparations to be paid to humanity for what was done to us. The Lith people held a memorial service for the humans who died in dark space. Protests do not stop quantum destroyers, Hayes said flatly. No, but they show that not everyone supports the military faction, Webb argued. Captain, if you broadcast the truth like the archivist suggested, you will not just be appealing to the Council. You will be appealing to billions of ordinary people across the galaxy. Chen considered this. It was a gamble. Everything had been a gamble since the moment they emerged from dark space. "If I do this," she said slowly, "and it fails, we all die. I need everyone here to vote. This is too big a decision for me to make alone." They voted, 7 for broadcasting the truth, 5 against. Chen cast the deciding vote. "We tell them everything," she said, "but we do it on our terms. Prepare a full broadcast package. Our history, our struggles, our losses, everything. If we are going to be honest, we are going to make them feel it." Over the next 6 hours, the crew of the Perseverance assembled the most important transmission in human history. They compiled footage from the colony ships before entering dark space. Happy families, children playing, dreams of a new beginning. Then they showed what dark space had done. The recordings from the destroyed ships, the desperate survival in quantum storm shelter, the generations born and dying in darkness, the slow transformation from human to something more, driven by necessity. Dr. Sato recorded a message about the genetic modifications, explaining how they had shortened human lifespans from 80 years to barely 50. Commander Hayes showed the exotic matter reactor, beautiful and deadly, slowly poisoning everyone aboard with radiation that their modified bodies could barely handle. Chen herself spoke about the 2 million survivors, about the ship held together by hope and desperation, about the choice to risk everything to come home. "We projected strength because we had no choice," Chen said into the camera. "We are not conquerors, we are refugees. We are the children and grandchildren of the people you tried to kill. We came back not for revenge but for the simple right to exist, to live on the worlds that were promised to us, to raise our children under open skies instead of in the darkness." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "In 3 days, some of you plan to ambush us with quantum destroyers. You think we do not know? We know. We have always known you might try to finish what you started 200 years ago." Chen's expression hardened. "If you attack us, we will fight. We will damage space itself in the process. We will take thousands of you with us. And even if you win, you will have to live with the knowledge that you committed genocide against a species that only wanted peace." Her voice softened. "Or you can choose differently. You can choose to be better than those who sent us into darkness. You can choose to welcome us home. We will share our technology. We will share our knowledge. We will help make the galaxy a better place, but only if you give us the chance." The transmission ended with images of human children aboard the Perseverance, playing in the corridors, laughing despite everything, representing the future humanity hoped to have. Chen broadcast the message on every frequency, hacked into every network, ensured every being in the galaxy would see it. Then she sat back and waited for the response. It came faster than expected. Within an hour, riots broke out on the homeworld. Civilians stormed council buildings, demanding answers about the quantum destroyer plot. The Lith people declared they would defend humanity with their own fleet if necessary. The Kryn Collective announced they were withdrawing from the blockade. Even some Vrax commanders were questioning their orders, but the militant faction did not back down. Instead, they accelerated their timeline. "Captain, sensors are picking up spatial distortions ahead," the tactical officer called out. "Multiple signatures. They match the profile of quantum destroyers. How many?" 6 weapons. "They are powering up now." Chen stood from her chair, her heart pounding. The ambush was happening now, not in 3 days. Thren's warning had been accurate, but not complete. All hands, battle stations. Route all remaining power to shields and engines. Prepare for emergency jump to dark space if necessary. "Captain," Dr. Sato said quietly, "if we jump back into dark space, we will never come out again. The ship cannot survive another trip through those storms." "I know." Chen watched the display as 6 points of light appeared around them, forming a perfect trap. But better to die trying to escape than to wait here for execution. The quantum destroyers reached critical charge. Space itself began to tear around them, reality splitting open like wounds in the universe. The effect would spread rapidly, consuming everything in a sphere hundreds of thousands of kilometers across. The Perseverance was trapped in the center. 10 seconds to activation. Hayes reported, his voice tight with tension. Chen gripped her chair. This was it. The end of humanity. They had gambled everything and lost. Then something unexpected happened. Ships appeared between the Perseverance and the quantum destroyers. Dozens of them, then hundreds. They were not Council military vessels. They were civilian transports, merchant ships, pleasure craft, and private yachts. Beings from across the galaxy had flown directly into the danger zone, forming a living shield around the human ship. Captain, we are receiving thousands of transmissions. The communications officer said, her voice choked with emotion. They are saying they will not let us die alone. They are saying what was done to us was wrong and they are here to make it right. More ships arrived, then more. Within minutes, 10,000 civilian vessels surrounded the Perseverance, their crews broadcasting messages of support and solidarity. Among them were even some military ships whose crews had mutinied against their orders. The quantum destroyers continued their activation sequence, but now the operators faced an impossible choice: fire and kill thousands of their own people along with the humans, or stand down. On the homeworld, Velshara burst into the council chamber where the militant faction leaders were coordinating the attack. Behind her were security forces loyal to her faction and thousands of protesters who had broken through the barriers. Deactivate those weapons now, she commanded, or I will have all of you arrested for crimes against the galaxy. You do not have the authority, Senator Krath snarled. I have the authority given to me by every being watching your genocide attempt live on their screens. Velshara shot back. The whole galaxy is watching. Deactivate the weapons or history will remember you as monsters. Krath looked at his co-conspirators, seeing the fear in their eyes. The plan had been supposed to be secret. The humans were supposed to die quietly. Instead, the galaxy had rallied to their defense. Deactivate, he said finally, his voice bitter with defeat. One by one, the quantum destroyers powered down. The tears in space healed slowly, reality reasserting itself. The civilian fleet around the Perseverance erupted in celebration, their crews cheering across 1,000 different species' vocal ranges. Aboard the Perseverance, Chen collapsed back into her chair, hardly able to believe what had just happened. They had been saved, not by weapons or threats but by honesty, by beings who had never met them choosing to risk everything to protect them. Captain, Webb said softly, we are receiving a transmission from Ambassador Velshara. She is asking if you are willing to come to the homeworld for formal negotiations. She says the council is ready to grant us everything we asked for and more. Chen laughed, tears streaming down her face. Tell her yes. Tell her humanity accepts. Around her, the bridge crew embraced, crying and laughing together. They had come home. Finally, after 200 years of darkness and struggle and pain, they had come home. Outside, 10,000 ships from 100 species escorted them forward. Not as guards, but as friends. The galaxy had spoken and it had chosen compassion over fear. Humanity's long night was over, and a new dawn was beginning. 3 months after the quantum destroyer incident, the galaxy looked very different. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above the council homeworld, watching construction crews work on humanity's new ships. She wore a formal uniform now, the rank insignia on her collar reading Admiral instead of Captain. They look beautiful, Commander Hayes said, joining her at the window. Below them, 5 vessels were taking shape. They were not warships like the Perseverance. These were different. Each one incorporated design elements from multiple species, built with cooperation rather than desperation. The hulls combined human exotic matter technology with Vrak structural engineering. The engines used Kryn quantum drives enhanced with human modifications. Every major species had contributed something to their construction. The Unity will be ready for launch next week, Hayes continued. The Council is planning a ceremony. Representatives from every member species will attend. Chen nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. She was thinking about Earth's old colonies, now being rebuilt with aid from across the galaxy. She was thinking about the 2 million humans scattered across 3 worlds, learning to live without the constant threat of death. She was thinking about the children being born now who would live full lives 80 years or more, thanks to the medical treatments the Council had provided to reverse the genetic damage from dark space. Penny for your thoughts, Hayes said. Just remembering, Chen replied. Remembering everyone who did not make it here. The 14,000 who died in the first week. The hundreds of thousands who died over the generations in dark space. My grandmother, my mother, everyone who sacrificed so we could have this moment. Hayes was quiet for a moment. They would be proud. I hope so. Behind them the door opened. Thren entered, moving slowly with the help of a walking aid. His species aged quickly in their final years, and he had grown noticeably older since the crisis. But his eyes were still sharp and kind. Admiral Chen, he greeted her. I hope I am not interrupting. Never, Chen said warmly. You are always welcome, Thren. The old archivist moved to stand beside them, looking out at the construction. I wanted to thank you personally. What you did broadcasting the truth, it changed everything. Not just for humans, but for everyone. You were the one who convinced me to do it, Chen pointed out. I suggested it. You had the courage to act, Thren smiled. The council has been corrupt for a long time. We became comfortable with secrets and lies. It took outsiders to remind us what honesty looks like. Chen turned to face him fully. I never properly thanked you for warning us about the quantum destroyers. You saved our lives? You saved mine, Thren replied. My people were on the homeworld when the protests started. Without your broadcast, the militant faction would have used those weapons. The damage to space would have spread. My homeworld would have been destroyed along with yours. He paused. We all saved each other. That is what true civilization looks like. A chime sounded, indicating an incoming transmission. Hayes checked his datapad. Admiral Ambassador Velshara is requesting your presence at the council chamber. The vote is about to begin. Chen's heart rate increased. Already? I thought we had another week. Apparently enough members have committed their votes that they are ready to proceed. Chen, Hayes, and Thren made their way through the station to the shuttle bay. The ride down to the planet's surface was quiet, each of them lost in their own thoughts. When they arrived at the council chamber, they found it packed with observers from across the galaxy. Every seat was filled. Cameras broadcast the proceedings to billions of viewers. Velshara stood at the central podium, her four eyes sweeping across the assembly. When she saw Chen enter, she nodded respectfully. Chen took her assigned seat in the observation area. Though she knew there was talk of creating a permanent seat for humanity on the council floor itself. We are here today, Velshara began, her voice carrying through the chamber, to vote on several proposals regarding the human species and their integration into galactic society. The first proposal is formal recognition of human sovereignty over their original colony worlds, plus additional territory to be determined. All in favor? A wave of affirmative responses echoed through the chamber. The vote was nearly unanimous. The second proposal is full council membership for humanity, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. All in favor? Again, overwhelming support, only a handful of abstentions and no outright opposition. The third proposal is the establishment of the Dark Space Research Initiative, a joint venture between humans and all interested council species, to explore and study the dark space region safely. The humans will provide their expertise and the council will provide resources and support. All in favor? This vote took longer, as several species debated the wisdom of sending expeditions into such a dangerous area. But eventually it passed as well. Velshara looked directly at Chen. The final proposal is what we are calling the Reconciliation Accords. The Council formally apologizes for the intentional sabotage that sent human colony ships into dark space. We acknowledge this was an act of genocide. The Council will pay reparations to the human species, provide technological and medical assistance, and will establish a memorial to honor all humans who died in dark space. Additionally, all Council members involved in the original conspiracy have been removed from their positions and will face trial. All in favor? The vote was unanimous. Every single council member voted yes. Velshara struck the ceremonial gong, signaling the end of the session. By the authority granted to me as council chair, I declare these proposals passed. Humanity is welcomed as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Welcome home, humans. We are sorry it took so long. The chamber erupted in applause. Beings from hundreds of species stood and cheered. Chen felt tears on her face as Hayes and Thren embraced her. All around the chamber, people were celebrating. Later that evening, Chen stood alone on a balcony overlooking the council city. The celebrations were still going on below, but she had needed a moment of quiet. So much had happened so fast. Sometimes it felt unreal. Footsteps behind her announced another presence. She turned to see a young human woman, no more than 20 years old, approaching nervously. Chen recognized her as one of the civilians from the Perseverance, a girl born in dark space who had never seen a natural sky until they arrived here. Admiral Chen, I am sorry to bother you, but I wanted to say thank you. My mother died in the quantum storms when I was little. My father died from the radiation sickness 3 years ago. I thought I would die in darkness too. But because of you, I get to live here now. I get to see stars. I get to have a future. The girl was crying now, but smiling through her tears. My family died hoping for this. And it is real. It is actually real. Chen pulled the girl into a hug, both of them crying together. It is real, she whispered. We made it. We are home. After the girl left, Chen stood alone again, looking up at the stars. She thought about the long journey from Earth to dark space to here. She thought about the generations who had struggled and died. She thought about the impossible odds they had overcome. Humanity had been tested in ways no other species could imagine. They had been betrayed, abandoned, and nearly destroyed. But they had survived. More than survived, they had emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. Now they stood as equals among the stars, not because they had conquered anyone, but because they had proven something even more powerful. That honesty and compassion could overcome fear and hatred. That truth was stronger than any weapon. The galaxy had tried to kill humanity in darkness. Instead, humanity had emerged from that darkness carrying light. Chen activated her communicator. This is Admiral Chen to all human vessels. I am authorizing shore leave for all personnel. Go down to the colonies. Walk on real ground. Breathe unfiltered air. Introduce yourselves to our new neighbors. We are home now. Really, truly home. Across the system, humans received the message and celebrated. Children played in real grass for the first time. Families gathered under open skies. Elders wept at graves for those who had not survived to see this day. And above them all, the unity took shape, a symbol of cooperation between species, built on the foundation of truth and mutual respect. It would be humanity's flagship, crewed by multiple species exploring the galaxy not as conquerors but as friends. The construction lights glinted off its hull, reflecting like stars. Chen watched it for a long time, thinking about the future. There would be challenges ahead. Integration would not be easy. Some species would always distrust humans. Some humans would always carry anger for what had been done to them. But they had a chance now. A real chance to build something better. To prove that different species could work together, learn from each other, and create a civilization based on compassion rather than fear. Chen smiled, feeling something she had not felt in her entire life. Peace. The war was over. The struggle was over. The long, terrible journey through darkness had finally ended. Humanity was home, and the galaxy was better for it. Behind her, the door opened again. Hayes stuck his head out. Admiral, they are asking if you want to make a speech at the Unity launch ceremony next week. Tell them yes, Chen said, not taking her eyes off the stars. I have a lot to say. She had spent 200 years preparing for this moment. 200 years of suffering, fighting, and surviving. Now finally, she could talk about hope instead of survival. She could talk about building instead of enduring. She could talk about the future instead of the past. The galaxy had tried to destroy humanity. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy how to be better. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, in the impossible realm of dark space where humanity had been forged, perhaps the spirits of those who had died were finally at rest. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. Their children had made it home. The long night was over. The dawn had come, and it was beautiful.